All right. Good morning, Antoine Bell. How are you doing?
Good morning, everyone. I'm very fine. I'm doing very well.
Okay. So, with about 12 days to the commencement of the World Cup, which is slated for Qatar, tell me, paint to me the mood in Cameroon. What's the mood like in Cameroon?
The mood is the same all over the world, all over the qualified countries. People are exciting. They are hopeful. They, they expect their team to go as far as possible. They even say they will win. And you've got a slight part of that people who might think, hey, maybe it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So I think this is all over the world how people behave. And I know by my own experience that every World Cup is uh, a real great rendezvous and is always something special.
Okay. So, you made mention of your personal experience. So having made two World Cup successive appearance, and in all of that, you didn't play until 1994. So I'll need you to tell us about how the feeling was like when you first represented Cameroon at the World Cup, even before you got to play in the 94 finals.
Yeah, actually, it's three times. I went three times to World Cup. We were there in 1982, and it was the first time uh, Cameroon was representing Africa in
Yeah.
the World Cup. And uh, as it was after Zaire, who went there in 1974 and really did poorly, people were very scared of what was going to happen. If you can remember, Zaire, they lost 9-0 to Yugoslavia. They lost 3-0, I think, to Brazil and 2-0 to Scotland. And this was, as usual, the way the whole world saw Africa is saying one Africa is equal to another. So if Zaire did this poorly, then Cameroon will do the same thing. And we went there and drew three matches, especially against Italy, who finally won, and Poland, who were third. So we can say we did a good World Cup, although we went out after the first round. And then 1990 came and we stood the world. And this one, people were not, and I think this is the problem today with African countries. You can't expect anybody to be surprised of what you could do, which means you have the responsibility of preparing your competition very, very meticulously,
Yeah.
very seriously, because people will be awaiting for you to make something special. So they are going to be ready. They will prepare themselves, and you can't surprise them.
Okay. So you made your debut at the World Cup at the 1994 finals, where you played against Brazil, Russia, and then Sweden. So you first,
It was Sweden, Brazil, and Russia. And
yeah,
personally, I didn't play against Russia.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
after
after
uh,
you had
you
you
had
had
been
been
beaten
beaten
by
by
Sweden,
Sweden,
right?
right?
No, we drew against Sweden.
Sweden lost to
Lost to
We
Brazil.
Brazil.
lost. We lost to Brazil. We were 10 men, and we lost to Russia. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
how was
how
the
was the
feeling
feeling
like
like
when
when
you
you
had
had
to
to
man the
man the
post
post
against
against Sweden
Sweden and
and
then
then
Brazil,
Brazil,
having
having
waited
waited
all
all
of
of
the
the
entire
entire
time
time
to
to
get
get
your
your
chance at
chance
the
at the
World
World
Cup?
Cup?
As I might say, as usual, African teams as a whole, and Cameroonian especially, they always go to World Cup with a lot of problems that are not sport concerned.
Okay.
So, like you are talking about 1994. In 1994, I played against Sweden, against Brazil, and I dropped myself for the last game because of all those problems. And unfortunately, we lost very badly to Russia. So that's why I say we have to prepare really seriously. We have to match the international standards of preparing the competition. So it's not African Cup of Nations or ECOWAS or something like that. It's the World Cup. You need to be ready. You need to know that you are playing against three teams that are above you. All the mostly of the time you will have the African team as the weakest team of the group, which means you are expecting to be doing a tremendous result at every game. So
Yeah.
you need to be focused. You need to be well prepared, and you need to get all your attention onto the game and not being disturbed by silly behavior or silly problems that are coming around.
Yeah. So in the 1994 World Cup, when Cameroon failed to make it from the group against, like you mentioned, Sweden, Brazil, and then Russia, to me, it has to do with the aftermath of what happened after your elimination from the World Cup. I understand your house got bent. Can you confirm that?
No, no. How can this be put forward 30 years later? No, it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and nothing like that has ever happened.
So, what is this news making rounds that?
News,
Okay.
fake news before fake news came.
Okay. So there's nothing
Nothing
like
like
that.
that.
No, nothing like that has ever
Okay.
happened.
Okay, so let's talk about that 1990 World Cup where you played as an unused substitute. You were just on the brink of making the last four appearance where you had to lose by the odd goal in five against England. What happened? You were sitting on the bench. What actually accounted for your inability to progress to the last four or even like the semi-finals? What worked against
You
Cameroon?
know, in a World Cup, you will always have only one team that will go all the way to the trophy.
Yeah.
So if we start thinking that every team that is eliminated has been wrongly eliminated, we will never get it right. So Cameroon losing at the quarterfinal, of course, you will always find the reason why you lose a game. But Cameroon going to the quarterfinal, it was a good result, tremendous result that official did not prepare for. That's why the mentality of the team that day wasn't we have or we must go to semi-final. It was we are already to the quarter-final and people are tired of seeing us winning. So we did a great game, but that sleight of the mind that is the champion speciality.
Yeah.
That you when you are there, you say, even if we are going to stay here for the whole night, I must be the winner. This is a special mentality when you have to win, and this will make the difference. So when we were playing England, people were already happy having us to
The
quarterfinal.
quarterfinals, yeah. But the narrative is that some of the decisions of the referee actually worked against Cameroon. Do you think so? Many people of the view that, in fact, it was down to some of the biases of the referee that got Cameroon eliminated. How do you react to that?
In my career, I never thought about referee. I never criticize a referee because in a game, you have two teams with a lot of supporters and you have a referee with no supporter and he is alone.
Yeah.
And he is the one everybody will charge and everybody will put his own responsibility to the referee. So I never talk about the referee because I know in almost every game, players make much more mistakes than referees. So if you want to say you lost your game because of the referee, I'm sure if you watch your game, you will see yourself making much more harm to your team than the referee. So you can then imagine that 30 years later, I'm not thinking about the referee. I don't even remember his name and nor his behavior that day, because for me, we have to think a player and the team, they have to think about themselves, about what they did and what they have to do, and not thinking about what the referee is going to do. Normally, a referee is a sportsman. He doesn't come to the field to cheat anyone. He comes to the field to himself perform and have a result.
Okay, so tell me about your best moment at the World Cup.
I would say my entire participation to the World Cup. The three World Cup 1982 was, each one is different. And you can't say this is just the best moment because you've got friends, your teammates, working together to have a result. And this is something that makes football special because you will never achieve anything on your own. You have to achieve it with others. So I was always in the team thinking about what everyone should do to have us move forward. So this spirit is maybe my best my best memory of the game.
Okay, what then represents your worst ever moment at the World Cup?
Having Cameroon officials in 1990 deciding that I won't play because I was leading the team, because I get my teammates together to fight together, but to fight for our bonuses, but to fight to win, to fight against the opposition. And this made them, because they did not want, is something that is really simple. You can't have anybody to work without reward. It's just like saying slavery was something good because people were working without any reward. So you cannot say they agree of that, even if because they are afraid of any punishment, they will say, oh, I don't want to be rewarded of what I'm doing. It's not true. You can't believe it. So my worst moment is it was not playing. It was having those officials being so dull, being so foolish to think that you will punish a guy who led the team to be together. It means you don't know what is the main thing, is the main difficulty in building a team. Building a team, how will you have 22, 23 guys thinking the same? Knowing that among the 23, only 11 will be playing. So they have to stick together, although some of them are not going to play, which is their main wish. They wish to play, but they know everyone will not play. And they have to stick together to support each other and to support the team and make the team move forward. And you should not break this unity. And seeing my official not understanding, how can I put it? The spirit of the game was very sad to me.
Okay, so that actually is your worst ever moment at the World Cup. All right, that's fine. You've shared, the dressing room with iconic Roger Milla. You've been that close to him. So share with me, describe to me, sorry, what kind of player was Roger Milla?
Exceptional player. Someone who knew very early in the game when we were still young that he will be better playing with both legs than one. So he trained himself at a time where each young boy will be playing single foot because you are much better with your what we say your better foot. You will just use it because this is where you succeed. But he trained himself, and that's how he came. And I was very elated when I saw him scoring with his left foot against, I think, Romania, where the ball was on the left foot. He did not find his right foot. He just played it naturally with left foot. So he was really, really fantastic, a great player, but he was a tough, very tough teammate because he's hard to manage.
Why? How do you mean he was a very tough teammate and he was very tough to manage?
Somebody, first of all, he expressed himself in, I would put it, that is the wrong way. He wants to win. And this spirit of the winner will make him not tolerating any mistakes from any of his surrounding partners. So he will talk against his partner. He will shout against the referee. He will shout against the opponent. He will shout even against the spectators. So he was very, very excited on the ground, and we finally found that we must not change him because you don't know what a shy Roger Milla will produce on the field. So we let him go that way.
Okay. Let's now talk about Cameroon as a country. You've made the most World Cup appearance. I want to know, what is the secret behind the ever-present Cameroon at the World Cup in terms of, the African, context? What's the secret behind Cameroon's successive appearance at the World Cup?
The secret, if there is any, is just a great, very strong will. The willingness of not ever giving up will make the Cameroon team win some matches that you will think they may be losing or they are on the verge of losing. They will keep moving forward. And when you have a good example, I think what happened is from the beginning, we were not like that. But we lost the African Cup of Nations 1972 in our country, in Yaoundé. We were young. None of us, those who started a winning Cameroonian side, were not among that team. We came right after that. And right after that, we have to fight very hard because we were playing in a country where people were discouraged. They were even hating football. They were hating after the loss of the 1972 African Cup of Nations. People were against football. People hated footballers. So we came to the national team at that moment. We had to fight back. We have to resist.
To correct the wrongs of yesterday.
To correct the wrong from yesterday, but to correct it in a context where you had no supporters because your own supporters were supporting the
opposing teams.
That's it. So we have to fight very hard, and I think this is how we build a strong character. And today those young guys coming after us, they don't know about the losing side, but they know about the winning side, and they have to just copy that. They had to take it from there, and this is, I think, this is
That's the secret. Okay, so when you lost 1-0 to Algeria in Yaoundé, did you ever harbor any hope of turning around the scoreline when you travel to Algiers? Did you ever think that Cameroon would be able to, win 2-1 at the expense of Algeria?
This is exactly the type of situation where that character will show up. They will say, okay, we lost. We have seen Algeria. Do we have anything to how can I put it? Anything to take from them? What did they do special to win in Douala? When the response is nothing, they did nothing special, then you say, okay, it means we can do it. It means that we lost the game here, not because of Algerians, but because of ourselves. So now we are going there to win that game. So they will go out thinking that they can win. And this is how Algeria, they thought they will be facing a team that the moral will be down. And then from the beginning, they were surprised of having fighters. So Cameroon scored first. Algeria were not trailing and trying to catch back. When they score 1-1, they did not behave like winners. Because Algerians know how to keep possession of the ball. They just had to try to keep possession of the ball. They did not do that because they were afraid of Cameroonians. So they went back, and when you look at the goal they gave away, you will see that they went back, but were not really fighting. They were there, but not fighting. They were not with the man who sent the long ball. They were not with the one who headed it alone. They were not with the one who scored. So, but they were there. All the 11 Algerians were in their box, but no one was fighting. So being in position of defending does not mean defending. So the mistake came actually from them, but Cameroonians were hoping they could do something, and it happened.
Okay, so Cameroon. So by that win, it meant that Cameroon plugged one of those tickets to Qatar. So Cameroon, Ghana, Senegal, Tunisia, and then Morocco are representing Africa. I mean, the expectation has always been that when would an African side be able to cross that quarterfinal hurdle? Do you think, looking at the crop of players we have in this current dispensation, do you think an African country will be able to, cross that quarterfinal hurdle, which has previously been made by, Cameroon, Senegal, and then Ghana? Yeah. Do you think in Qatar, an African country would be able to make it to the last four?
Always hope. I think that instead of looking at the result, we should look at the path that leads to that result. So in between the 4 years between two World Cups, we Africans should ask which teams is really preparing for the next World Cup. What did they do in the meantime? And this is the problem. We are always surprised when the competition is already there, we'll be asking this question. But I think this question should be asked right after Qatar. Who wants to be in the next World Cup and do much more than quarterfinal? And what is your program? What are you putting in place to have that result? This is how we should prepare our World Cup. Now, Of course, for Qatar, I think that the first thing is, like I said before, African teams are the lowest slot of the drawing, which means almost all the time they will be facing stronger teams than they are. This year you have Senegal, which managed to be at the third or second in the
Rankings.
Morocco too. But Morocco are a bit unlucky because even by being there, they had Belgium, who are second or even first in the world ranking, and Croatia. So it's still going to be hard. But I think that Senegal are likely to make it from the from the group stage. That's sure. And later is a matter of luck, how the drawing goes and how do you feel yourself.
Okay, so I asked about, we are running against time. So let's wrap it up on your expectation on the African teams representing us in Qatar. You think this time we can cross that quarterfinal hurdle?
But before quarterfinal, we have the stage group. First of all, get some African teams moving after the stage group.
Okay. Finally, what's your take on, Rigobert Songa having to manage the Cameroonian national team? He used to play, you played alongside him in the 1994 World Cup. You think he's got what it takes to, as it were, take Cameroon to the next level?
You never know. Because remember, he's going to the World Cup with one game, that game against Algeria, and two friendly matches. And I think if you want to be honest, you will say 3 games is not enough to say in one way or another. So those who say it's the right man, I don't think 3 matches is enough. Like those who say no, he's not the one, 3 matches are not enough. So so he is going to show us what he is up to this World Cup.
Okay. As a goalkeeper, you know what it means to have a very solid back line. And so I want to ask you, do you think that Cameroon still needs the services of Joel Matip? Quickly before we wrap up.
Of course, if they have the possibility of having him, how can you say you, Cameroon, an African team, you don't need someone who is doing so beautifully for Liverpool? How can you not need him? You need him. He's a good player.
He said that, so the conversation is that when he was needed, he turned his backs against Cameroon. Why is it that, I mean, at the World Cup, he now feels the need to represent Cameroon? So it's enough not to invite him, because when he was needed, he didn't come.
Now they need him now, and he didn't say he's coming. He said he's not coming. Matip said he's not coming. And I think the problem is not Matip's problem, because he's not the first player who said he's not coming. And they did not dig to understand why. When you have a boy who said to his parent, I'm not coming home, you as a parent, you should ask yourself what happened. There must be something wrong, and there must be something wrong somewhere. You have to find it before. You don't just cry and say, oh, I want him back, I want him back. No, try to understand why a son will say to his parent, I'm not coming.
Okay. All right. So, but you think Cameroon needs the services at the World Cup?
Yeah. Cameroon needs services of such a good player.
Okay. Finally, what's your take on Samuel Eto'o's, administration? I mean, as the FECAFOOT president, how has he affected Cameroonian football in a positive sense? I mean,
in a lot of ways, surely. But like I said, for Rigobert song, is something that we need to watch carefully. And we are going to the World Cup, and this is the most important competition, and this is where everybody's performance will be under scrutiny.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, so that was my engagement with former Cameroonian goalkeeper Antoine Bell, who was at the 1994 World Cup. In fact, we spoke about a number of issues in regards how Africans would fare in Qatar, and then how Cameroon have also had to come from those dark days to building a strong mentality that enabled them to be the most, successful African team in terms of qualification to the World Cup. So there is more in this interview.